begin with a breaking news update. The partial government shutdown is over, at least for 3 weeks. You're taking a live look at the White House. That's where just 2 hours ago, President Trump announced a short-term deal to reopen the government until February 15th.
Here are the latest developments out of Washington. 20 minutes ago, the Senate unanimously passed the measure that will officially reopen the government for 3 weeks. Just 10 minutes before that, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said she will discuss a date for the president's State of the Union address as soon as that measure makes it through the House. If there is no long-term deal in the next 3 weeks, the president says he will declare a national emergency to get that border wall. Right now, let's go ahead and check in with ABC's Kenneth Moten, who's reporting from the very latest today.
Moments ago, the Senate passed a short-term spending bill to reopen the government. The measure now moves over to the House. Under intense political pressure, President Trump is making a major concession, agreeing to fund the government without border wall money.
Day 35 of the partial government shutdown, an end to the stalemate between the Democrats and President Trump.
We have reached a deal to end the shutdown and reopen the federal government.
The tentative deal, 3 weeks of funding. The president backing down from his $5.7 billion demand for a southern border wall, while a bipartisan group of lawmakers negotiates a broader border security agreement.
They will put together a homeland security package for me to shortly sign into law.
It's sad, though, that it's taken this long to come to an obvious conclusion.
Democratic leaders are still firmly against wall funding, but promising to operate in good faith.
Hopefully, it means a lesson learned. Shutting down the government over a policy difference is self-defeating.
800,000 federal workers missing paychecks, lining up at food banks, struggling to pay the bills. This was the scene today at several major airports, a ground stop at LaGuardia Airport in New York, flight delays in Philadelphia, D.C., and Florida due to absent air traffic controllers. At the IRS, more than half of the 26,000 workers recalled for the tax season didn't show up to work. This Coast Guard wife inside a food pantry in Connecticut, emotional as she watched the president's announcement.
I want to thank all of the incredible federal workers and their amazing families who have shown such extraordinary devotion in the face of this recent hardship.
The vote in the House to reopen the government could happen later this evening, and then it's on to the president. Again, he is expected to sign that short-term measure. We can also report that if the president doesn't get wall funding in 3 weeks, he has threatened to shut down the government again or use his executive power to pay for the wall. Reporting live here in Washington, Kenneth Moten, ABC News. Back to you.
While party leaders have already responded, Alabama's senators also released statements shortly after the government reopened. Senior Senator Richard Shelby said, quote, "I look forward to working with my colleagues in the Senate and the House, as well as the President, to unveil a compromise on border security and fully fund the government." Junior Senator Doug Jones also responded, calling for more assistance for furloughed workers. He said, quote, "Thousands have suffered needlessly, so the absolute least we can do is to not only give them back pay, but do so with interest." Our team coverage continues now with WAY 31's Cody Fisher. He's live at Redstone Arsenal, working to find out exactly when furloughed workers will be getting paid. Cody?
Greg, just within the last hour, I called the communications office for NASA and the Marshall Space Flight Center here on Redstone Arsenal, but that phone call went straight to voicemail saying that they were still furloughed. So we still don't know exactly when NASA, where employees will go back to work. They were one of the government agencies that were impacted by this furlough. Now, we do know some employees for NASA have been working throughout the furlough to continue the missions for the International Space Station, but many workers were at home the entire time. Now, just west of where I'm standing right now, Transportation Security Administration workers have been working throughout the government shutdown at Huntsville Airport. And right now I'm trying to talk to a TSA worker, a TSA agent, to get their thoughts on the government reopening and get their thoughts on how excited they are that they're finally going to get paid. Reporting live in Huntsville, Cody Fisher, WAY 31 News.
All right, thanks so much, Cody. And of course, we will continue to follow the ongoing developments about the government now reopened. As we learn more information, we'll keep you updated right here on air and also online. Just head to waytv.com for coverage you can count on.